Good evening from PLUGHITZ Studios in Largo, Florida. I'm Scott.
I'm Abram.
And we are here with episode 505 of F5 Live, Refreshing Technology, for August 12th, 2018. This show is a proud part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. This week, TCL is bringing back Palm, Discord is selling indie games, and Spotify makes a big partnership with Samsung. Wherever you are and however you're accessing our show, whether it be through any of our live stream platforms, including livestream.com, Facebook Live, YouTube Live, Periscope, Mixer, or Twitch, through syndication on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, the Podcast Play app in the Windows Store, the myriad of other podcatchers available on all of those platforms, on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or wherever, and of course on our apps, PLUGHITZlive.com/apps. Thank you for making us a part of your day. There are two ways that you can do that. The first is by joining us live on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern ish. Sometimes we have some technical issues, like we had this evening. We started a little late, but that is okay. We go for about an hour, and we will talk about the news of the week, gadgets, gaming, internet, and media. The nice thing about joining us live is that you can chat with us in the studio while we're discussing the topics and give us your feedback on the topics as we discuss them. Mixer, Twitch, and YouTube are the best places to comment for us to see them, because they're the ones that let us see them easily in the studio. If you can't join us live, that is okay. You can also subscribe and on all of those platforms I mentioned before, and listen at your own convenience. Not a problem. And of course, if you go to PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe, you will see F5 Live and the Pilch Point, which will be on a little bit, as well as our special events, our First Look series, and a number of other shows as well. And with that, I think that's it. Avram, how have you been this week?
All right, not too bad. Just a lot of stuff going on. But cool stuff at the office. Working on lots of stories that people will see coming up on Tom's Hardware this week. So stay tuned.
Well, that's good. We've been doing some interesting stuff as well. If you've been following us, you've probably seen a whole bunch of new content getting published, and we've got some special events coming up. We might be at NASA for the first Tech Challenge kickoff event, which could be a lot of fun over at the Kennedy Space Center. So I'm really excited about that. Got some interesting stuff coming up. Oh, yay, and the show is finally loading here in the studio. Like I mentioned a few minutes ago, technical issues has been the theme of this evening. Avram's screen over here keeps turning off, so if you see what looks like the room get darker, that's why. So it's no big deal. We'll just keep chugging along. Yeah, whatever. I guess with that, if I can figure out how to do it with this system failing this evening, how about we get to some news? This week's Nifty Gifties on F5 Live is proudly powered by the Microsoft Store. Whether you're looking for back-to-school supplies like the new Surface Go, or a Surface Pro, a Surface laptop, or you're looking for some entertainment stuff, an Xbox One S or a One X, maybe a new gaming laptop, or you're looking for a HoloLens or mixed reality, or a number of other products, including the Samsung Galaxy S9 and a whole wide variety of accessories and products for back to school for students, small businesses, and developers. You can find it all by going to f5live.tv/Microsoft. All right. So, I think we all know, especially coming out of this week, that big phones kind of own the market. And it doesn't matter whether you're talking about Android or iOS or even the last batch of Windows Mobile devices are all big screen devices. Now, if you go back to the beginning of the consumer smartphone era, it was very different. The original iPhone had a 3.5-inch screen. The original Android phone, the HTC Dream, which was known as the T-Mobile G1 in the US, had a 3.2-inch screen. And then you compare that to today with the iPhone X, which is a 5.8-inch, and the Samsung Note 9, which was just announced this week, with a 6.4-inch screen. That is exactly double the original Android phone, and the iPhone has nearly doubled in size as well. There's been a huge swing to large screen phones, which I think we all remember when the first Galaxy Note launched. People were like, that thing's too big, that'll never succeed. So there's definitely been a swing toward people wanting bigger phones, but with any trend, there is a pendulum. And there are people who don't want a giant phone, whether it be because you have small hands and holding a big phone is uncomfortable, or pants pockets are too small, especially on like girls and women's jeans and stuff. Pockets are almost worthless. So maybe a small phone is what you're looking for. The company that seems to have become the master of niche markets for smartphones, TCL, is rumored to be working on a new phone that will fill that need. We know that TCL has licensed the BlackBerry name and has come out with a number of surprisingly successful Android phones with physical keyboards. And so now they want to fill this small screen niche as well. And they're going to do it under the Palm brand. Yes, the Palm brand, which was already killed off once in the world's weirdest collection of business decisions. But TCL owns the brand name. They bought it, assumedly, from HP, and intend to bring out a new phone whose name fits with the rest of the more modern Palm phone names. It's the Pepito, Pepito, which is just as weird as the Pixie or the Pre or the whatever the little one was, the Vive. No, I don't remember what the third one was. But it kind of fits into that naming scheme, and it is rumored to be a 3.3-inch screen. It'll ship with Android Oreo 8.1, so sorry, no WebOS. I know, I'm disappointed too. 3 gigs of RAM, which is, for a small profile phone, that's a surprising amount of RAM. 32 gigs of storage, and is expected to be a Verizon Wireless exclusive in the US, which is an interesting pairing. What do you think, Abram? Small phone have a chance?
I guess there's somebody who wants it, but unless it's super cheap, I don't. And then I'm gonna say it's probably not gonna have a chance. But people like me and you will be very interested in it.
For sure. As sitting here next to me, I have some examples of different phones. I have an iPhone X here next to me and a Palm Pre, and if you're watching the video, you can see the ridiculous difference in screen size between the two. Now, I loved my Pre's, but a lot of it had to do with the physical keyboard. and the operating system, neither one of which I will be getting if the rumors about this device are true.
Yeah, then what's the point? I mean, it's sort of like, there are people who still like the Android Blackberries because they've made the effort to make them look and feel like a Blackberry. But
they're using the iconic BlackBerry keyboard and things like that, and they've got the security behind them, which is the thing that BlackBerry was really known for.
But no trackball.
Right, that's true.
And no side
wheel.
The side wheel was my favorite BlackBerry thing.
Me
I think
too.
it all went downhill when the side wheel went away.
I think you're right.
The side wheel was everything. So, all I can say is BlackBerry, you'd still be on top today if you hadn't ditched the side wheel.
And definitely if you hadn't gone to the weird micro trackpad. The ball was bad enough, but that micro trackpad in the middle never worked.
Yeah. So, anyway, I wish them all the luck because it's fun to have different types of devices on the market.
Sure. I think there's a chance for it because there's I definitely hear people complain, not as often as we did 5 or 6 years ago as the trend was, really getting underway. But I definitely hear people complain about a phone being too big to put here or there. And, theoretically, if it wasn't Verizon, or maybe with Verizon, depending on what they do, because some phones, the whole SIM card switch is bizarre on Verizon. But, if you've got a SIM card and you can just swap it, maybe it's a real good going out phone. You know what I mean? When you don't have space for a big phone, you don't need all of your everything. You'd have that capability. Maybe that's the niche that it could work in. But I definitely hear people complain about not being able to hold it. It's like my business partner in the other company, Mark, loves the Galaxy S8 Plus that he has because it's way thinner, left, right, not depth, than the HP that we had. So, physical size plays a huge role for different people in the way they hold stuff and things like that. So
yeah, I agree that the newer Galaxies like my S8 are easier to hold than some of the other ones because even though they're longer, they're thinner. But I ran into another problem, which is why I didn't get the Plus, which is that at a certain point, it depends on obviously where you want to carry it. I like to carry it in my front pocket, and it was actually so long it was like sticking out of my pocket, and I was just kind of worried it was going to fall out.
Yep.
So I didn't get the 8. I didn't get the 8 Plus for that reason. So I can see that at a certain point there's diminishing return to having a bigger phone.
Sure. And
I don't know that 3 inches is that point though.
It's not for me because, and for those of you who have been longtime fans of the show, that the original hosts were all big Palm fans. But sitting here now with what was the largest of the family, the Pre-3, which never actually hit the market, just happened to have a friend at HP. This phone is almost comically small. When I look at it today, it was insanely big at the time. You had there was the uber small push at kind of that same time, and there was the Pentax C1 or whatever, which was like an inch and a half big or something like that. There was like the comically small, but now this feels comically small. And I don't know that I could live on this device today as much as I'd like to. So, yeah, this may not be the space, but who knows? BlackBerry, the BlackBerry Android phones aren't for everybody. It's not what TCL was hoping for. maybe they only need to sell a certain number of devices to be able to justify it, and maybe they've proven that market. Who knows?
Yeah, maybe. We'll have to see.
I'm definitely sad that the Palm logo is not the actual Palm logo, though. The render that I saw had it as like a square, PA, and then the next line was LM, which, why would you bring back a brand just to not use the logo? Whatever. I guess you and I don't have control over that stuff. This week's Pilch Point with Avram Pilch is proudly powered by Newegg. Whether you're looking to buy parts to build a new computer, or fix an old one, or bring new life to an existing laptop or desktop, Newegg has all of the parts to make that possible, from power supplies and cases to hard drives, monitors, motherboards, processors, all of that. And they oftentimes run really great deals, including daily deals. We've got some graphics cards on special right now, and Assassin's Creed Origin looks like it's coming as a deal with a video card. You can find those deals and a whole lot more from Newegg by going to pilchpoint.live/Newegg. So, in addition to PC components, you can also sometimes find other stuff, robot components and things like that on Newegg, which I know Avram has been really excited about lately.
Yeah, I mean, look, if I didn't have a child, I would probably still really enjoy building robots and things like that. I mean, it's fun for everybody. But for those parents in the audience, I just want to offer a little bit of advice. My son is 6, and since he was very young, much younger than this, we've been doing all kinds of projects together. And certainly the last couple of years that we've been doing robot projects together, he's gotten really pretty good at it, to the point of, where he and I are doing like Arduino projects together, doing circuits together that do like light sensors and things like that. So it's pretty cool to be able to do that kind of thing with your child. It's cool for you, and it's good for them to learn. So some of the things that I've learned, I wrote an article about this that's on tomshardware.com right now, there's a few things to keep in mind when trying to sort of share your love of technology with your kids and help turn them into, young techies. The first and most important piece of advice is don't underestimate. You might think that something is above your kid's head and like, oh man, I can't do this project with them, or I got to do everything for them, or or very importantly, when you're talking about it, you think you got to dumb it down. Don't do that. I always, whatever my son asks me about tech stuff, I will tell him straight up what I'm doing, and even if he doesn't get it right away, it's surprising how much he does later seem to get. Like when he was 4 years old, we were talking about, he couldn't get an app on his tablet, and on his Fire tablet, because it wasn't in the Amazon store at that time. And so I tried to sideload it, and I had to explain what sideloading was to him. And for the next few weeks, every time he'd run into somebody who had a phone, he'd be like, do you have the Google store? He'd say yes. He's like, okay, well, you should download this app. But if you don't have the Google store, you could always sideload it. So, now he knows all about like the difference between DC motors and servo motors and stepper motors, and about negative and positive wires and things like that. So even if there's stuff like that that's like, over his head at the time, I always tell him, yeah, this is what we're doing. And it's surprising how much later he'll incorporate into something he says to really show you he actually knows what he was talking about. Um, One thing that I do notice a lot with him, and I think it's true with other kids too, is always better to work on a physical project that has some type of a physical element, like a robot or a circuit kit or something like that, or even a light box that lights up or something, than to just do something that only lives on the screen. For example, there's a lot of programming apps out there to teach kids how to program, but they don't affect a real device, a real moving robot or something. Anytime you can get something where the kids can actually see the result of what they're doing in the real world, like, oh, I programmed this and now the robot does this, I think that's a lot more effective and appealing to them. You might also be surprised to know that kids can learn to program and learn a lot of these concepts even before they can learn to read. Um, Lego Boost is one of the best systems for this because it has an app, a programming app where the entire interface is icons and there's not one word in it. But even if the app has words in it, it's amazing how your kid can be a really good functional illiterate. Like my son, he can navigate menus and figure out what things program blocks mean from having used them before, seeing someone else use them, even if he doesn't know how to read the word that's on them. Um, you know, as a if you're trying to do something that's a little more fun and teach your kids something that you would enjoy, using standard parts is always better than proprietary ones. I mean, there's a lot of cool robot kits out there that just work within themselves. Like he really likes the Droid Inventor kit from Little Bits, but Little Bit, and that's great. But Little Bit stuff is not compatible with Legos or a lot of other stuff that you might have or want to use. It's nice unto itself, but what's really cool is when you can get something that is a standard, like Arduino or Raspberry Pi or Legos, which are standard not for tech but for building things, and things that are compatible like that, and you can combine them so that, first of all, if you teach your kids something like Arduino or Raspberry Pi, that's adult stuff, so you're teaching them an adult skill. And second of all, and hopefully teaching yourself if you don't know everything about them, and then you're really doing something that's transferable, so you can get more and more and more sets that build on that level of knowledge. The last thing I want to point out is if you're getting something that's app enabled, and most things are in some way, if you're buying a robot kit or something, keep in mind what operating systems it works on. A lot of kids have the Amazon Fire tablets, which are great. They're the leading kids tablets, and in my opinion are the best kids tablets because they have great parental controls and great content and are indestructible. But a lot of companies that make robot kits don't make apps that don't put the apps in the Fire store and the Amazon store, and therefore you can't use their tablet for it. So that's something to be wary of. As you're programming. Of course, other things that are a little bit more adult, you may really want or need a PC. I mean, you can attempt to program Arduino on a Android device, but it doesn't really. I don't think it really works very well. You can attempt to program a Raspberry Pi thing, I guess, remotely, but there's things that you're gonna need, keyboard and mouse to do, depending on what the project is. So those are my quick tips. If anyone wants to learn more, check out my article on tomshardware.com about how to tips to turn your kid into a code wielding robot builder. And good luck, everybody.
I can attest to the interacting with physical things, doing all the robotics stuff with first, being able to do something and then see it have an impact in reality really is special. when it's all virtual, it's not quite the same. You don't get that ooh that you get when you see a physical thing move or whatever.
I'm much older than 6 years old, and I still appreciate the benefit of like, oh, I programmed this thing on the Arduino board and it made a light up or a motor move. Like, wow, that really did something.
Absolutely. We reviewed a thing a couple years ago now, M Cookie, which was Arduino based, but all like magnetic connectors for the primary pieces, which was a really cool product. But you know, it was a group of, I think the youngest person in the room when we were doing it was 15, and then the oldest was in their 40s, and all of us, honest to God, all we did was got a button on our phone to change the color of a light on the thing. That was literally all that it did, and it took a group of us a little while to get it going, and we were all so excited when it happened. We couldn't, like, we're all like, woohoo! So yeah, even you know, well older than 6 can get really excited just seeing a light up or something like that. So
yeah, I mean, I like those things that snap together like that for you. They're a good step, but I'm personally preferring to try and figure out what we can do with more sort of standardized stuff like a breadboard or figuring out how to solder stuff onto a PCB or whatever, because that's what the big people use.
Right.
You know, that's what real makers use. You know, you're not going to have a magnetic thing when you go and try and build your own robot or whatever. So, you know, my son has learned all about breadboards now.
That's awesome.
Although he still gets a little confused about like the difference between the rows and the columns on the breadboard and where you have to plug what into what. So I got to on him very closely, but you know, yeah. So I think it's cool. Like today, he and I were talking about a proto shield for our Arduino. He's like, yeah. So we had the proto shield on that one, and so anyway.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Well, Avram, as always, I always appreciate these topics, especially when we talk about teaching with technology. So, thank you for that. You said there's an article on Tom's Hardware?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Absolutely. When I clean out this area behind me, which I really need to do, I have to start soldering something because my son made a request. He was like, when are you going to solder this? Like, we have another kit that we got called the Maker Bueno, which is a device you have to like solder and do all kinds of things to build. It's Arduino based, but the board is custom, and it's a little handheld game system that you build yourself, basically. And he's like, you got to make the Maker Bueno. I said, well, I have to solder it, and I have to clear some space near the window because I don't want the fumes to get anywhere. And he's like, well, clean up, do it. You got to do it. Oh. He wants me to start soldering now.
Yeah, I think we knew that it was going to get there at some point.
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, you know, I have to admit, in all honesty, I'm learning as much as he is, because I'm not a super expert at all of these things, which is why it's so fun for me. You know, he learns something and I learn something else. So it's fun for the whole family, is what I'm saying.
It sure is. Well, thanks for talking about this, and everybody should go check out what Avram has on tomshardware.com. This week's Extra Life on F5 Live is proudly powered by Razer. All the accessories that you need to up your game, whether it be on PC or console, is available from Razer. You can get Great keyboard, mouse, a giant gaming mouse pad, controllers for your PC or your Xbox, PlayStation, even webcams with the chroma key feature built in, which is actually a really cool feature. All of that and more are available with deals running right now. At least during the weekend, they're giving up to $500 off the Razer Blade Stealth 13, depending on your configuration, and a number of other deals that change daily. Available by going to f5live.tv/Razer. All right, so in gaming news this week, we had kind of an interesting announcement. A couple of weeks ago, in fact, almost exactly a month ago, Valve launched a chat client into Steam for all users called, ironically, I guess not ironically, boringly, Steam Chat, which was designed to take aim at the top chat system for gamers, which is Discord. In fact, the client appears to be an almost exact clone of Discord. This week, Discord decided to strike back, and they have launched a game store inside of their client. Now, unlike Steam, which is basically the go-to place for games on PC, Mac, Linux, Discord's game store is going to be more nuanced. Rather than being Walmart, they want to be your neighborhood store. I know Avram and I can think back to the mom and pop movie stores where you could go and rent a movie. And one of the things that I remember distinctly about those kinds of places is that the employees would have like a little thing where this is John's favorite movie right now. That is the kind of thing that Discord is going for here, is that kind of feeling. Not necessarily featuring John's favorite game, but definitely having a very curated, interestingly, with staff recommendations, but not quite the same that we remember from the movie stores of the past. But having recommendations and things like that. In fact, according to the company, they said, we'll be showcasing a variety of titles that we think you'll like. As the store grows, we'll rely on our community and our team to make the store feel super personal and focused on games that we genuinely think you'll enjoy. Which, we talked a couple of weeks ago about how Valve was adding some new stuff to Steam to make it to make discovery better on games, and that's kind of where Discord wants to start. That's the thing. They don't want to start big and then figure out discovery. They want to start with discovery and go from there, which I think is a pretty great idea. What do you think, Abram?
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think anything to make it more personal and personable is good. I mean, I don't think they've got a lot of. I think Steam is such a popular platform. I don't think they're going to take much from Steam, but good luck to them.
If they're focusing, they're not focusing on the AAAs, so there's no overlap there. They're looking for indies, and they even want to help some indie developers get funding and stuff like that, which I think is a really great idea. So they'll be like powered by Discord. I don't remember what they call it officially, but like a powered by Discord or brought to you by Discord kind of thing as well. So there'll definitely be exclusive indie titles which I think will help drive it. But I really think the obviously both companies are in the same boat against each other, right? They're both trying to encroach on the other one's territory. But whereas Steam tried to go whole hog and just steal Discord directly, I think this whole niche focused thing is the thing that'll set the Discord store apart.
So what I don't understand is why Slack doesn't come into this business. Is it, I mean, I understand Slack doesn't do the level of conversation, but why not try? Why isn't a company that does like conversation stuff trying to compete in this space with basically gaming conversations from Discord and TeamSpeak?
It's a fair question. Who knows? Maybe Slack decided that their market was business people, and Discord decided that their business was gaming people, and never the two shall meet. I don't know.
I guess so. It's just annoying that you have to, like, to live in the world today, you have to have so many different chat clients running all the time.
Yeah.
It's really, really annoying. You know, like, you know, my job right now, I have to have, and I don't have Discord running. I have to have, for work, I have to have three or four different chat clients going. I have to have Skype because some people talk to me there. And I have to have Slack because there's a group of people that I talk to there. And I have to have Stride because right now our company is on Stride, although Slack bought Stride, so that may be a thing of the past soon. And also don't forget Facebook Messenger. So, like, it's really annoying how many different messaging platforms there are. I understand they're not all equally good at the same things, but it's annoying to have all these programs running all the time.
Mm-hmm. And then when you add in things like Basecamp and things like that behind it, when you're at the office, you know, you've got 11 different things that are all dinging at you all day long.
Right. It's annoying. It's annoying. It's probably eating up system resources and bandwidth.
Yeah.
Like, I love competition, but this is really annoying. Like, so I don't know. If somebody were to step up and find a way of uniting the worlds of the many different chat worlds into one, I think that would be a real, really good.
Yeah, like what was the old client that you could use?
Uvu? No, not Uvu. What am I thinking? There were a few that used to do that with instant messaging.
Trillion.
But Trillion, right? Trillion was one of them that did that.
Yeah.
And then but then, you know, people catch on, or they're not officially supported.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. I don't think these companies don't want interoperability because they like keeping their list proprietary.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's got to be a better way. I don't know.
I'm totally with you. It is. I now am in the same boat that you are. I now have way too many different chat things going. I have 2 different types of Skype, and Slack, and Basecamp, and Facebook Messenger. It's like no.
Right, and then you get people saying, did you get the thing I sent you? And I was like, well, where did you send it? Was it email? It could have been email too, right? Was it email? Was it Facebook? Was it Skype? Was it Slack?
Was it Skype for business?
Where should I look for your message? Because it could be anywhere.
I would just like to point out that did you get that thing I sent you immediately made me think of Harvey Birdman. So thank you for that. When I'm all caught up on Venture Brothers, which is what I'm doing right now, which for those of you who have been paying attention, yes, this is the 3rd week in a row I've been wearing a Venture Brothers shirt. Because it came back last week. Once I'm all caught up again on Venture Brothers, I'm now going to have to go play through Harvey Birdman again. Thanks for that, Avram. This week's news from the tubes on F5 Live is proudly powered by Riff Tracks. Make fun of movies or let the professionals do it for you, because that's what they get paid to do. The guys who used to do Mystery Science Theater 3000 are back and doing what they do best, making fun of movies, from blockbusters to Devil Girl from Mars. Seriously, I can't make these things up. They've got a little bit of everything. The way it usually works is for a couple of bucks, you download the MP3, play it along with your DVD, Netflix, Amazon, wherever it happens to live, and laugh. They also, from time to time, do some live events. The next one is next week. I think Thursday, the 23rd. Yeah, it's next Thursday, August 23rd. It will be Krull with an encore presentation on Saturday for the first time ever. And the live events are so much fun. They're in theaters nationwide. And to find the movies that are available in the theaters that you can see Krull in, you can go to f5live.tv/rifftracks with an X. Oh, Krull. I can't think of Krull without thinking about Peter Griffin from Family Guy. Anyway, it's the time travel episode. Whatever. So this week, Facebook has finally started to roll out some of the promised transparency features for the platform. They've also turned off some features, but that's a different issue. Obviously, we know that Facebook pages, there are some games that get played, right? The first is hiding the true intention of the page. Another very clever thing that pages do is they'll merge. So you'll have two unrelated pages merged together, and now you're being presented with information that's very bizarre because it's not what you followed. And then, of course, there are the pages that abruptly change their intention, maybe go from being a comedy page to being a very political page or something like that. And a lot of times the pages that make these turns do so for nefarious reasons. And, we know that Mark Zuckerberg has been to Washington several times over the last couple of months to answer questions specifically relating to the weirdness that is the lack of transparency on Facebook. And so the first of these new features is starting to roll out. What is it? Well, starting with large pages, and likely eventually rolling to everybody, but starting with pages with a large following, which no, they did not define what that means. Facebook will be requiring any page managers and above, I assume, I don't know about lower, but certainly managers and above, to verify their accounts by doing a couple things. First, turning on two-factor authentication to try and outsmart, bots and things like that. But also, they'll be required to verify their physical location. Now, how they're going to do this, I don't know. Have not been asked to do it because none of our pages are large enough to justify it, apparently. But they're going to verify physical location. Once that's done and the page is essentially reinstated to postability, new information will be added to the Facebook pages that will be required for the pages to continue. For example, large pages will be required to list the managers, which is its own special thing. Because, I don't necessarily want my Facebook thing connected to any of the pages that we manage, not for nefarious reasons, but because I don't want people messaging me. As we talked about in the last segment, when there's enough messaging going on with people I know, I definitely don't want outsiders annoying me. But they will be listed with their physical location, not like you're at this address, but the country in which you're administrating the page from. And then it will also start showing, and may already be showing, because I see it on our Facebook pages, at least the ones that I checked. Any page merges that have happened, so a timeline of name changes and page merges, as well as any ads that are currently or have been running from the page within a certain period of time. You can also request an ad history from pages, but that's been in place for a while now. So that's a lot of big changes coming, and all with the intention of trying to add some transparency to pages that may or may not be as legitimate as people may think.
I mean, it's all a slow step forward. It's all a slow step forward to let people know where something is administrated. That's good. But you really, I mean, all these things, it's all good to know that they're providing some legitimacy. I mean, because Twitter, for all its other faults, has that verified by Twitter thing that does kind of tell you that someone is who they say they are.
Theoretically, I've read some tactics on getting verified if you're not, but yes, for the most part that is true. And some pages can be verified too, but whereas Facebook only puts the little check mark when at their own discretion they verify when they decide they want to. There's a process to ask Twitter to verify you. So
yeah, I've heard it's not so easy though, because we've asked before and not been accepted or whatever.
I might have a friend to connect you with who told me some things to do to try and get myself verified, because I was declined the first time. She said she was too.
Okay.
They might just decline sometimes. Is it possible?
I mean, to be honest, I personally didn't even try it yet, because my coworker Cherie said that she's tried it, and somehow she heard that we weren't big. No one who worked for us was a big enough deal to get verified. But I don't know. That was like a couple of years ago, so I'd like to try it again.
I know a name significantly smaller than anybody at any of the Purge brands that are checkmarked.
It may be who you know.
It could be. But I mean, with Facebook, it's not that at all, right? They ask you when they think it's time to verify you, which is a very different process. So way less pages are verified on Facebook in the way that they are on Twitter. But if you know that a page with a large following, again, I wish they would tell us what that meant, so that you and I as Facebook users will know whether a page has been forced through this process yet or not. But whatever, the idea that there's two-factor authentication, which certainly makes it more difficult for a nonsense account to get in, maybe. But then, having to verify physical location, however that's going to work, is definitely going to cut down on nonsense accounts. And then, we'll see where a page is being administered from. If it's obviously, this all has to do with U.S. political pages being administered from outside the country. And I'll remind everybody that just because it's administered from Russia doesn't mean that anybody from Russia is involved in it. But
right.
The labor in Russia is cheap on a computer. Anyway, pages being administered from outside the country for political reasons is the whole backbone behind this. And so, you see that a page is being administered from Russia or India or China or Korea or something, you start questioning the validity of it. Again, I'd really like to know what the number is before they make you go through this. Is it 100,000? Is it 250,000? Is it 1 million? What's a large page? Facebook, please tell us. I think without that information, this whole thing is way less useful. Because I don't know if the page has been through it, but whatever. It's definitely a step forward. Without them going down the censorship road, it allows them to maintain content quality. Data integrity, I guess, is more what it is. So it's an interesting step, hopefully in the right direction. We'll see with time. This week's DRM not included on F5 Live is proudly powered by Amazon Prime. You know your basic features. You know that you get free shipping, sometimes same day. But what you may not know is that there's a lot of other features you get as well. For example, Amazon Prime Video, which we talk about during Rift Tracks every week. Included in your Prime subscription, you get tons of TV and movies, some of the HBO back catalog, all kinds of content, including documentaries, all included as part of your subscription. And Amazon Prime Audio, or Amazon Prime Music, which is several million tracks available for free with no extra cost. Your selection is not quite the same as it is with Amazon Music, but if you're a Prime subscriber, you also get a discount on that. And of course, Twitch Prime, which has become my favorite benefit of Amazon Prime. You get a couple of things. The first is you get a free subscription on Twitch, which you can use on any Twitch channel, including ours if you would like. And you also get free games every month. They rotate similar, from what I can tell, similar to how Xbox Live Games with Gold works. Some happen at the beginning of the month, some happen at the middle of the month, and they run for about 30 days. And once you own them, they are yours. I have been playing through my own personal catalog of Twitch Prime games, so definitely go check that out. If you're not a Prime subscriber, you can get a 30-day free trial to see if it's for you, and you can find links to all of these benefits and more by going to f5live.tv/prime. Speaking of streaming and streaming music, ever since coming to the United States a number of years ago, Spotify has really owned the streaming music market. We talked about it last week. Elijah in the chat room made mention of, don't forget Pandora, and Abram and I both went, I think we all did. Spotify has really owned the market. Apple, after buying and rebranding Beats Music, has been trying, and they have definitely taken the number 2 spot, but they lag behind Spotify in both user count and in audio count, the number of tracks that are available. Plus, of course, Spotify's lack of a lockdown into an ecosystem. As example of that, they announced a big relationship. Actually, it was the other way around. A big relationship was announced with Spotify at Samsung's press conference this week. And Samsung is bringing Spotify directly into their ecosystem. They have given up on trying to have their own second-tier music streaming service. No more Milk Music or whatever stupid name that was. They're not going to try. They've already shut down 3 of them. They're not going to try again. They're bringing Spotify in directly, and in a really big and cool way. It will be available through all of their connected devices, whether it be your phone or your television. Samsung smart TVs are going to get it. And the new Bixby powered Galaxy Home device. Anytime you interact with Bixby and ask for music stuff, Spotify will be the default that it goes to, which is obviously a big thing for people who are in the Samsung ecosystem, who have the TV and the phone and the all the things. Getting direct access to Spotify is definitely going to push some Spotify subscriptions. It's a hard pair of words to say. So you speak to your phone, ask it to play music. Spotify is where it's going to play. And since Spotify is an open platform, it means that you can transfer from your Samsung Android phone to your Windows 10 PC with just your voice by calling Cortana, who also defaults to Spotify. You can use that capability to push to Sonos speakers and all kinds of stuff. I think this is a big deal a good deal for both companies and for users. What do you think, Abram?
Obviously, Spotify is the big player in streaming, and as Microsoft learned, it doesn't make sense to try and do your own imitation of Spotify. It's better for everybody, for Samsung, certainly for consumers, that they can integrate Spotify into the other things that they're doing.
Yeah, obviously, I'm a Microsoft person. I have a lot of Microsoft devices, including an Invoke. When all of those devices switched from Groove to Spotify, I loved my Groove. I liked the interface. I thought interacting with the actual music itself was way easier, but the experience of being able to open the Spotify app on my iPhone and control what's being played on my Cortana-powered Invoke without having to jump through any hoops is awesome. You ask the speaker to play a track, you hit the next button on the iPhone or the Android, and it skips to the next track. I mean, that kind of unified thing is just way better than anything that a company like Microsoft, who's got way too much going on, is going to be able to bring to reality on their own. And obviously more than Samsung was going to be able to bring to reality on their own, having shut down 3 music streaming services on their own so far. So I like it. I think it's a good move for everybody. You have gone silent there, Abram. I can see.
Oops, sorry. Sounds
there you go.
reasonable to me. That we have, Samsung, Spotify is becoming, well, it is the de facto standard. When you see that Microsoft and now Samsung has sort of recognized Spotify as like this is the place that we want to partner with. It doesn't say good things about all the other competitors. Like Google Music.
Indeed. And if Google could come up with a unified approach to music, they might be able to put something together, but they can't decide which is the same thing that Samsung was going through, right? They had 2 competing music streaming services at the same time at one point. They had that idiotically named Milk Music and the other one that were both running side by side, and Google's got at least 2 if not 3 running side by side. If they can get their focus together, they might have a chance. But Samsung wasn't going to. Microsoft, that just wasn't in their wheelhouse to keep that going. Apple seems to be doing okay with it, but that's mostly because they bought a company that was already in place. They didn't have to build all the infrastructure and all of that stuff, and they already had the relationships with the publishers for iTunes.
Yeah, I mean, this is the success of Spotify says good things about, like, if you build a better service, it doesn't matter if companies have an advantage over you because they can preload. Like, Microsoft should have a natural advantage over Spotify because they could preload Groove onto Windows.
Sure.
And make it part of their platform. Samsung should have a natural advantage over Spotify because Samsung makes all these phones and can preload its stuff onto the phones. Google should have an advantage just because it's got all these other services that people use all the time.
Sure.
But Spotify has managed to succeed despite not having that type of an in onto somebody else's platform. So that's really impressive.
Yeah. And you know, since they came here, they inspired an industry and then owned that industry. We saw a huge influx of music streaming services, whether it be Pandora was already here, but you know, Rhapsody went to having a streaming service, and you know, Apple bought Beats Music. Microsoft turned Zune into Xbox Music and then into Groove. You know, everybody was trying to chase the same tail, and Spotify, I think, just did it better. And the fact that it was like you said, a standard and not just a platform, I think is the reason why they've done so much better than everybody else, because it didn't matter who you were. You could be Samsung or Microsoft or Sonos, and you could have Spotify built into your whatever. You know, without that, I don't know if they'd be where they are today. I think that whole collaborative nature versus, you know, Apple's very, very closed nature. This is going to be an Apple product. It's way harder to succeed on that when you only have 15% of the market. So, yeah, and Spotify theoretically has 100% of the market because they will literally run anywhere. Well, that is our show. Thank you to those of you who joined us live. I saw a number of people watching live on all of the platforms. We always appreciate our live viewers. In fact, there might be a comment on Facebook. I don't know. Always hard to keep track of Facebook. Anyway, if you joined us live, thank you. If you didn't, that is okay. You can join us live on Sunday nights at 9 p.m. Eastern by going to f5live.tv/join us. But if you're not able to join us live, that is okay. PLUGHITZlive.com/subscribe will allow you to subscribe on all of the platforms, whether it be Apple Music, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Podcast Play, Stitcher, or any of the other TuneIn Radio, wherever you want to listen to us, we probably will be. And if we're not, let us know where it is you want to listen to us, and we will do our best to get there as well. We definitely want to make it as easy as possible for you to join us, either live or through subscription. So thank you for that. And a reminder that subscriptions are free. So definitely check us out. Lots of content still on the way. New events coming up, and we've got Anime EY in a couple of months. We've got the First Tech Challenge kickoff at NASA, I believe next month. All of that coming up soon. So definitely keep track of that and follow us on social media to get updates on those events. And with that, on behalf of the staff that's not here, I'm Scott.
I'm Abram.
And we will see you guys back next week. Ciao.